Welcome to Excel 2016, Module 11, Part 6. In this segment, we will be creating a pivot table using our data model. You must have created the data model, which was done in Module 11, Part 5. So if you did not complete Part 5, please return to that section and complete it before trying to finish this particular segment. So what I want you to do is in your product report worksheet, you may see the data model listed on the side if you didn't close the file. We're going to go to the products sold by store worksheet, making sure that A4 is your active cell. Then in the ribbon, we're going to go to Insert and choose Pivot Table. We're going to use this workbook's data model to create our pivot table, and we're going to put it on the existing worksheet in the products sold by store, A4, and then click OK. So now we are beginning our pivot table. You will recall pivot tables from Module 5. Up here in the top of our field pane, we have each of the queries that we did. So we're going to click on the items purchased query, and we want to use the item quantity, and it goes down here in our sum values group. We are going to change the field settings, so we're going to hit the drop down arrow and choose the value field settings. We're going to change the custom name to read quantity sold. And then we're going to change the number formatting. We're going to set it to a format of number with 0 places after the decimal and using the thousand separator. And then say OK. And say OK again. And now we want to add our other fields to our pivot table. So in the stores query, we are going to add the store city, and we're going to move that into our columns. Then in our products table, we will add the category in our rows. Now there is a feature that we can look at that will allow us to filter a date field within our data. You will remember before from Module 5 that we could insert a slicer, which is a filtering device that can be used on most of our fields. If you try to use a slicer with the dates, if you have very many different dates in your data, it can become too much with too many buttons in your slicer. But a timeline will allow us to filter based on ranges of dates. So we're going to go ahead and create a timeline for our filtering of our sales. So click on in the Pivot Table Analyze tab. In the filter group, click on the Insert a Timeline. Since the date field is not an active field within our pivot table, you will not see it on this first tab. You must click on the All tab, and then it will bring up the date field options that we have that you can use with a timeline. So we're going to check Order Date and click OK. I'm going to move and resize this timeline so that it starts in A10. And I'm going to have it go over to G17. you want to make sure that the scrolling bar underneath the timeline is visible. Now, if I wanted to use this timeline to filter my data, I can click on a segment of the timeline, for example, December of 2017, and now it will only show me December's sales in my pivot table. I could extend that segment that it's looking at by hovering over a border of the segment and drag it back to, let's say, Q4, October, November, and December, and it will change my pivot table data to illustrate the quarters data. If you want to go back to viewing all of the data for the entire time period that's in your data, you simply click the clear filter button at the top of your timeline, and it will remove the selections and revert to showing you all of the data. And that concludes this segment of Module 11.